Okay, this is my project proposal for AV3900, or independent study. So, alright, so what am I going to be doing? I'm going to be building the Atom RC Penguin here. It's a fixed-wing FPV aircraft. I'm going to be putting a F405 Mini SpeedV flight controller in it, a GPS. So I like to do autonomous missions with it, if I can. I'll kind of talk about those more later. And then I'd also like to add, so it'll have its FPV capability, but I'd also like to add like a secondary camera. I'm still shopping around for that, so I'm not sure what I'm gonna do with that yet. But I'll also talk about that later as well. So part of the reason why I chose this project, well, was mostly because Duke said, "Hey, you should do something like this." I'm trying to put a class together, um, but I also really liked my Tiny Whip Quad. It's super reliable. I can take it anywhere, so I kind of would like a fixed wing version of it as well. So I get something like that, I guess. So for the project planning, I kind of started doing this during the last week of summer. I was bored and didn't have a ton to do, so I think I started sourcing which components I wanted. A lot of the components were based on my Tiny Whoop. Um, I'll cover them later as well, but like I think I bought the same brand camera, the same brand flight controller, maybe just some different versions or slightly newer. So I'm also going to run an analog system on this as the digital systems. I think I looked at them a little bit, but I don't want to drop that kind of money. And I already have analog goggles, and so it's just a yeah, digital would be quite expensive. So in my project planning though, another aspect of it was um, I didn't know what aircraft I wanted to build, so the Penguin was always an option. I did look at the Dolphin for a little while as well, and then previously to these two, I looked at the Hewing aircraft. I think I ended up choosing Atom RC mostly because you can get a plug-and-play kit with them, and they were significantly cheaper, or at least for the plug-and-play kits. The Dolphin, part of the reason I didn't get it is it didn't come with a plug-and-play kit. I didn't want to have to buy another motor, an ESC. Um, Although thinking about it now, I probably could have, because I have I have another powertrain for my it's like the same as my Explorer. But anyway, um, this was a pretty easy option to do, I guess. So that was why I ended up choosing the Penguin. Um, Another interesting thing is on the Dolphin it has these canards on the front, but maybe they're just for visuals. But anyway, so those were the aircraft I considered. For the component selection, I kind of covered that already. Um, and then the YouTube reviews on the Penguin were really well rated. Everybody really praised it. They said it was a great aircraft. It stays on its line. They said Atom RC is going to sell a lot of them. So I didn't really see any negative reviews on it. So that was kind of another reason I chose it. For the why on this project, I mostly chose it just to get more hands-on US experience. iNav sounded like a really cool idea. I also wanted to try autonomous missions with this, um, which is something I've never done before. And then just capturing HD aerial footage with a fixed wing would be really cool. I'll kind of talk about that later as well. And then just expanding technical knowledge. Um, I've built an analog system before, so I don't expect that to be super new, but using iNav will definitely be something a little bit different than Betaflight. Um, so I'll still be learning quite a bit, I'm sure. So, um, oh, and then for the why as well. So before this project, I was considering doing another 3D printed build. Last semester, during a lot of my free time, I built one of Eclipson's aircraft. So Eclipson sells STL file kits, and you can basically print these aircraft out in a bunch of different sections and glue them all together, throw your components in there. Um, so like I printed mine out of lightweight PLA. This is the model I bought, and I bought an FW190. Um, I did quite a bit of research on this as well before I built it. Flight tested their own review, but it ended up being kind of a nightmare. Like I built my first one. They have their own retracts, and you pretty much need a runway to take off on. And I didn't want to go to Bridgerland, so I would try to take off in like my parents' field. And these things are so flimsy. Any little bump or nick is gonna crack. And the internal structures of these wings, so they have like they're sectioned off, but there's not very many, uh, just like I don't know, ribs, I guess is what I'm trying to say. There's not very many ribs in these wings. They do have a carbon fiber spar that runs through them, but it only runs through like the first third, so maybe like out to here, right by this cross. So I'd have my wings rip off. I had this happen twice, so they would rip off right at where the carbon fiber spar would end. And anyway, there's a whole bunch of other things I could complain about. So I thought about doing another 3D printed build. I would have done it with a different company. There's another company I tried buying plans from, and I actually liked them, but uh, this sounded a lot funner. So yeah. Anyway, there's a fun little story. Um, so for the Who, primarily it's going to be me, and then Duke, of course, will be my advisor. Um, and then additional resources, just Atomrc reviews, YouTube, especially when I get more into the iNav things. I haven't really used it much before, so I'm sure that'll come in help or handy. Um, I have used ChatGPT. Always seems to be pretty helpful, especially in there's just like drone software. When I was doing my Holy Bros Lewis scripting, when I was setting up like that spotlight mode, um, a lot of the times when I was trying to get that to work, if I had an error, I would just plug it into ChatGPT, and it would say, "Hey, you need to do this." Of course, I had to do like a lot of setup with that first. I had to say, "Hey, this is what I'm trying to do." Um, I kind of had to tell it more about what I was doing before it actually got it right. So I think that'll be a helpful resource as well, I guess. So um, location. So I'll mostly be doing this at my dorm. I'm sure I'll do some test flights out at the ASTE. And then if I need to come in for lab hours or anything like that, I'll probably be in the VSB as well. So those are kind of the three main areas where I'll be doing most of this. So and then I don't know, maybe if I get far enough along, I'll take it out to the dairy when we're flying out there for intro or something like that. So for my timeline, um, this took a lot longer than I expected, so I kind of threw this image on here. I thought it'd be kind of funny, but for my timeline, I made these two spreadsheets. So this is my hours log. So this is more of a daily thing. So I've got my dates, phases are like my schedule. I'll kind of talk about that more in a sec. So the phase I was working on, so today I worked on my proposal and research. So presentation, and then the task I did. So I worked on my presentation, I worked on these logs, so that's just what I did. The number of hours, and then I have this adding up my hours as I go, so if I put like a 3 in here, it'll add that in, so that should be pretty helpful. Right now I'm signed up for the 2 credit class, so I should only need, 60 hours I think is what's required. I'm sure I'll go over that. I didn't want to do the 3 credit class because I'm not sure if I'll hit 90. Maybe I will, but I think 2 is good enough for now. So anyway, so yeah, my cumulative hours, and then I also threw a notes section in here, just kind of if there's anything I need to do, or there was something that I did that day. So like I updated my Pocket, the HTX, and the internal module, and then my VTX was delayed on Banggood, so I ended up buying one on AliExpress. So just some notes. Here's the actual schedule. This has my phases, the dates in between. This is just kind of like an estimated planned hours. This is the actual hours that it took to complete each phase. This would be the actual completion date. And then just, I also threw a notes section in here as well, just, I don't know, maybe to be redundant or whatever, but I thought it'd be nice to have. So that's pretty much it for the logs. So that was my timeline. Alright, materials, tools, and processes. I've kind of already gone over this with you, but I'll just do it again. So for my kit that I bought for the Penguin, it's going to come with motors, ESCs, servos, and a couple props. These are just, so it comes with 2400 kilovolt motors, some 30 amp ESCs, and then a couple of props. So I mostly had to source, or when I was buying components, I mostly had to buy just my flight controller and then my actual FPV setup. So here's just a screenshot of my cart. I ended up buying that on AliExpress, so it's on its way now. So when I when I canceled this, you had to like you couldn't just click cancel. You had to go and actually talk to them. So that took about 30 minutes. So that was fun. But anyway, and then I also have these listed over here as well. So, and then as I mentioned earlier, a lot of this stuff is kind of the same as my Tiny Whoop. So I have a SpeedyBee F405 Mini. I've got their VTX, and then the camera's the same as well. So not too much of a change. I want to cover a couple of phases as well. So in the later phases, once I get everything flying, so I've got like my hardware testing, I9 flight modes. Um, Sorry, I think I need to put flight modes after testing, flight and tuning, so I'll have to edit that. Um, anyway, once I get the aircraft flying and my FPV system set up, I want to try experimenting with an autonomous, like just doing autonomous missions with it. So there's one guy I watched on YouTube. He was showing how to set up iNav missions and just have, so you set waypoints. You can have it RTA, return to home, and maybe loiter over certain areas. So like fly in circles. I'd like to try to do that as well. So that's one other aspect I want to do. Along with that, I'd like to put a secondary camera on my aircraft, so just so I can get some better footage, maybe that I could post, or just if I ever want to do anything with that. With that, I'm not sure how I'm going to mount it. So they send a couple of different noses, but I think that's more for the FPV side. But there are quite a bit of 3D prints on like Yagi here. People have their own nose variants, so I could look more into that. Or this guy, he developed his own canopies, so I could edit maybe one of these. Or I haven't ordered my camera yet, so I'm not sure what I need to do. But I'm just displaying this all as options, I guess. So there's at least there's more than one option, I guess. I also have a 3D printer, so if I need to use that, I can just draw up my own design. So yeah. And then as for the video capture, once I get all that hammered out, I think last semester I took Shaylin's UAS 2700 class, which was the photography class, and I used Adobe Premiere quite a bit. So I think I made like a commercial video for my friends pickup there in the background. I really enjoyed doing that. You can put like music over videos. I don't think I'll make it as complex as this, but I'd kind of like to get some footage of like, I live next to the Salt Lake at home, or pretty close to the Great Salt Lake at home, so maybe I'll fly over that and get some cool footage and kind of just stitch it together. Or there's an old tramway that took like radio tower workers up to a mountain peak next to my house as well, and there was one dude that flew his drone along that tramway, so that'd be another cool idea. Anyway, long story short, I'd like to make some sort of, or maybe make a cool video to go along with my drone. So I think that's pretty much it. So yeah, thanks.